This morning I hadn't quite finished my drink, so I just put it on the ledge right before entering this room, shelf, and went to get something in the office. And then when I came in, I took about 4 or 5 steps into the dining hall, and I remembered, oh right, the coffee. I turned around and Tancha Dapala had it in his hands and handed it to me. The last night we had a Vinaya class, and it was on the protocols and duties that we have as monastics, which is quite a different flavor from the other classes we have that are detailing the minutiae of our rules that we have to be very careful of. Whereas the protocols are really they're details, but they're more a sense of how to behave in the right manner. In a lot of ways, socially, with the laity, with other monks. And one of the subjects that came up was, and that was spoken about for much of the class, was just the sense that we have of juniors taking care of elders, and elders taking care of juniors. And as we spoke about, it's especially in the U.S., it's not something that is seen as an encouraged behavior. Or when we're younger, we think that we're sort of the center of our parents' lives, and we often are. But there's also a sense that they are there to serve us. And this attitude can go on for a long time. It can even go on until sometimes those very children have children themselves and then recognize, my goodness, I had no idea what my parents had done for me. So that sense of looking after those who are older than us, or those who are taking care of us in a particular way, it's something that can be quite new. But the sense that came up in the class was just how meaningful it is and how fulfilling it is to engage in that kind of relationship where one is taking care of another, and especially sort of holding the senior monk up, like in our monasteries. A sense of those who are beginning in their practice, looking after the senior monks. It's really an incredible learning experience. Watching what the senior monks are doing, how they hold themselves, learning how to be a monk based on how close a relationship we have with one of these monks, and trying to emulate their good qualities. And even in the class, it was interesting, there's also an emphasis that when there are not so good qualities, then it was encouraged in the time of the Buddha for those who were looking after elders to actually encourage those elders in uplifting their behaviors in certain ways. And then we talked about the nuances of that in our own culture today, and how that might work, and how that kind of communication could work. So this was a really nice class to have engaged in, and I was telling some of the other monastics in the class that some of the times that I can remember of the best times of my monastic life were when I was attending to a senior monk. And I recounted just sometimes, even having had short opportunities to have done so with Lumpur Liam, He's the most senior monk in our order, or the head, if not the most senior, then the head of the Ajahn Sangha. We're spending time with Lumpur Sumedho. These are times that I will remember for the rest of my life. Just very little lessons that I gleaned from a couple of things that were said, or a warmth that was directed my way, or even a teaching on what's proper and improper. And so the attitude sometimes can be something like, oh, I don't really want to do this. This is a drag. I don't have to look after somebody else. And that's quite sad if that attitude takes over, because there's only good to be gained through looking after another person. And one of the main things is we stop thinking about ourselves so much. But what people often miss is it's not just duties, they're not just sort of, we call them protocols, but they're actually, it's a relationship that's cultivated between two monks. And as Tansu Ajahn mentioned, it's a mentor relationship, something that is existing less and less in our current society, where one actually receives guidance from a teacher over a long period of time. So this is something that we can do for ourselves, just in our own lives, how we pay attention to others, how we care for others, how we care for our speech around others. And notice that we're building a relationship with that person, not a relationship of necessarily of attachment, or thinking of I'm getting this exchange. What am I getting out of this? It's more seeing that the wholesome qualities of mind can arise when we are lending ourselves to that kindness for another person, when we are looking out for others, noticing where they might need a bit of help here or there, and also being open to learning from another person's conduct. So these are just some thoughts this morning.